Welcome to the Well Seasoned Librarian Podcast. This is Dean Jones, and this is Season 4, Episode 12. Today we're talking with TV show host, podcast host, cinematographer, writer, director, Reyshan Parker. I had a really good time talking to Reyshan. I was on his show before, and I just loved talking to him so much I wanted to have him on my show too. If you've not checked it out, his television show, Beyond the Check, and his podcast, Beyond the Check, talks to different people working in the food service industry of all types. If you've not checked it out, you're going to want to look into it because it's a great show, and he's just a fun host, and he's wonderful to hear him talk to his guests. Without further ado, we want to go into the episode, and I think you'll love it as much as I did. And here we go. Welcome to the Well Seasoned Librarian Podcast. Today I'm honored to have on my program, as I've been on his program, author, actor, producer, TV host, podcast host, Reyshan Parker. Reyshan, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Dean.
Now, tell for our listeners who are not familiar with you, although they probably are, tell them a little bit about your work and your background.
So I make content of random things, or it used to be random. Now I mainly just make food and restaurant content. So I host a show on Amazon and Tubi TV called Beyond the Check, where I go hang out with chef-owned, worker-owned restaurants to find out about their lives, the history of the restaurant, and then of course they cook up and let me try some of the best dishes they have to offer. And I also make my lovely wife eat things that she would not normally eat. She's super picky, and so I get a kick out of that. The audience might feel a little weird about it. They're like, "What are you torturing this poor lady?" But we're trying to expand her palate.
I'm in the same boat with my wife. She's very picky as well. So now
we're getting there.
I want to first talk about your first work, your beginning of work in the field. You had a bunch of superhero shorts called Quick Man. Do you want to go over that?
Okay, I do. All right. So I'll tell you the whole story. So when I'm like 11 years old, my dad buys a video camera. Now, I don't know if you know this about video cameras, but back in like the 80s and the 90s, they could do all kinds of things. You could edit from like your VCR back to your video camera, and you could like overdub music, and you could like cut right to just hit record on the video camera while it's playing on the VCR. And like, that's how you edited from a VCR to a camcorder. And so I used to get my family and my friends to make these little movies. It's like Batman had just come out with Michael Keaton, right? And so I loved the Batman movie. And so I was like, we're going to make I wrote this little weird, basically it was Batman's plot, but I called it Quick Man, and I was Quick Man, and I could like spin, and if you turn the camera off and on, you could disappear. Right? So like that was my special effect. I would spin, and my dad would turn the camera off. I made him be my cameraman. He was the director of photography, not by choice. I made him do it.
Yeah.
He wasn't the best, but he wasn't the worst. He was there, and he hit record, so it worked out. But yeah, so I was Quick Man Save the World, man. And my sisters, I'd make the bad guys, like Crystal Girl or Diamond Girl was one of the bad guys, Diamond Girl, and she had the sharpest diamonds in the world, and she would shoot them at you. That's what she did. Oh man, I don't know if I can remember plots of them. I only made three. We made like 2 or 3 of them. I don't have them anymore. They were on old VHS tapes that mildewed and molded, along with my Lego movies. I used to make animated Lego movies way back before like there was any animated Lego anything. Like that probably 1986. 87. I was animating little I built like the Enterprise inside, and I did like Star Trek Lego things.
That sounds cool though.
Yeah.
Now that kind of led on to you going further, like this was an inspiration. Did you always know you kind of wanted to work with television and film and
Oh yeah,
theater and production?
yeah, always. Like so that's always what I wanted to do. I had the Reyshan Parker show when I was a kid. Like we just filmed everything. Once we had that video camera, like it was game on. I mean, there's probably a trunk full of fucking video tapes that is just lost with all my home videos. Man, see, some people had to have the foresight to keep all that and then later digitize it. My parents did not.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, it although it could still turn up. You never the magic of the computers now. Everything could come back. So you attended college for acting, and you discovered writing and completed a BFA in playwriting with a minor in film at Ohio University. What was that like for you, and what did you learn there?
All right. So the truth is, I went to Ohio University for acting because I acted all through high school, and I totally blew my audition. Like it was like the worst audition I probably ever had, and it was to get into the acting department. And they literally don't recommend that if you don't get in the first time, don't even bother trying again. I mean, you can, but like they don't recommend it. And honestly, the actors had to work their butts off. Like they had to work all the time. Like they were always busy. And I write too, so I was like, well, I guess I didn't make it into the acting, which blew my mind. Like I just totally bombed. I was like hungover and like I just fucking bombed it. So I decided to go into playwriting, and the playwrights had it real good. We met, we talked about our scripts, we read our scripts, and then we went home. And maybe we would write at home, but like there was no like being at like all the rehearsals and the audition and then all the extra things that the actors had to do. So turned out I had a lot of free time and I got to write lots of stuff, and ended up doing a film minor because I had more time. Because you couldn't be in the film department as an undergrad at Ohio University. They only offered a grad program.
Oh, so you were studying under Charles Smith and Eric Ramsey, and you wrote several plays, notably Risk, Best Intentions, and Strike the Musical, an Appalachian comedy, which won the Humble Playwrights Festival in 2007, and it was eventually produced by Art West Theater Company in 2008. How did that all come about for you?
I entered it into a contest, and and so funny story about Strike. Fantastic play, actually. Make that into a movie one day.
Yeah.
It needs updated a little. It's the politics in it needs updated a little, but I had wrote this play, Strike, about Appalachian family dad goes on strike from the steel mill, mom has to go to work, and they have a son and a daughter. Son plays football and it's like smoking weed, and the daughter's wearing makeup and being a little hoe. And then they got a buddy, whatever they're doing. He tries to win a chili contest to save the trailer, but it actually has a lot of heart. And I had written it just as a normal play, and then after college I was hanging out with my buddy, and he was a musician, and I was like, what if we made this would be better if it was like a musical. What if it was like an Appalachian musical, and then we could just put like in different genres of music for each character, and that'd be cool. So we did that. And when it was done, I entered it into this local theater contest, whatever, and turns out that one of the judges, and they didn't know who wrote the scripts or anything, was actually my old professor, Charles Smith, who's an exceptionally rather famous playwright. Was like, he picked Strike, and he always loved me too. Like I was a very good student, but so that got picked, yeah, and so they produced it, and yeah, it was cool.
Now, if that isn't enough, in 2007, the same year, you also wrote, directed, and produced Casual Fine Dining, a mockumentary about a small restaurant, followed by another, Poor Crusaders, a documentary on the Appalachian economy, disorder, and a short about PSD, and The Closet, a psychological thriller. That's a lot. How did you do all that?
Finish that one.
Okay. Still, that's quite a bit.
I mean, I just went on a little movie making spree. Casual fine dining took like 6 months. But it's adorbs. It's adorable. It was the first actual like thing I made as an adult. So like the production quality isn't that great. The audio definitely isn't that great, and it could use a little trim. But otherwise, it's still one of my favorites actually. Casual fine dining is it's fucking funny.
What is Pork Crusaders about?
So that was actually a school project for a documentary class, and it's my ex-father-in-law was the head of social service department, and so I just did a little expose kind of on the social service department and what they do and how they help people. And I don't know if I interviewed anybody outside of the department. I don't think that I did. I might have narrated over that. God, it has been so long since I've watched that.
Yeah, I've dug up a lot of stuff. I'm sorry to spring it all on you. Now,
I love that you found all of these things.
No, yeah, I did my homework.
I guess I wrote it down somewhere.
You also developed the concept for noir prior to attending the Savannah College for the Art and Design in 2009 and spent the next 3 years developing the complex story perspective. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, this is going to take a while, Dean.
That's fine.
All right, let's noir it. Okay, noir. So noir, the original idea for noir came, oh Christ, probably in 2008 or 9. I just got divorced actually, and I was staying at my sister's house because my wife was a cheating whore. But I was staying at my sister's house, and I don't know, I'd eaten a pot brownie or something, and she had gone to work, and I just like ate it for breakfast, and I was like laying in her front yard, and I just started thinking about this, like, what if I don't know, I'd watched like Double Indemnity recently or something like that.
Oh yeah, great one.
And I was like, all right, so what if I just did the iconic characters? So I did like a detective, a good girl, and a femme fatale, and like, how would that work? And he's like, somehow I just had them all pointing guns at each other in a room, and I'm like, how did they get to all pointing guns at each other in a room? And I literally just started like writing shit. By the time my sister got home, I'd pretty much outlined like the whole thing, and I don't know, that's it sat there. And then I go to grad school, and sometime towards the end, or maybe halfway through grad school, where I'm talking about noir to somebody, and they're like, "Oh man, yeah, you should write it in like 3 parts, like do like from 3 different perspectives." It was like, so you follow the good girl, you follow the, and I'm like, huh, well, that's going to require an entire rewrite. But it was too cool not to do. So I rewrote the whole damn thing and put it from 3 different perspectives: the good girls, the detectives, and the femme fatales. And so the story all overlaps and weaves through, and you watch it from each one's perspective until you get to the end, and you know, the whole reveal of why they're and how they got to standing in this room all pointing guns at each other. Because it was, you know, it was late 90s, so like we're still very Tarantino-esque era, but the Iraq War was just over, right? So everything was very like noir era in America again. So we thought it was right to, you know, make this movie. And so during college, my professor, Andrew Meyer, who produced Fried Green Tomatoes and The Breakfast Club, he always liked the script, but I'm a student, so he couldn't help me make it. So after college, I'm with my producing partner, and he had won the Burt Reynolds Scholarship, the very first Burt Reynolds Scholarship, down in Jupiter, Florida, years before that. And so we managed somehow, I don't know how, he convinced me we were going to make this movie for $4.5 million. Burt Reynolds was going to be in it. We actually met this producer's representative who was like going to make all this stuff happen for us, whatever. And so we're just going to raise this $4.5 million and go make the movie. And at the same time, Andy comes to me and he offers me $300,000 to make the movie, but I can't have my other the dude I'm talking about anywhere near the project because he does not like him. And I'm like, and I turned him down. I was like, no, I can't do that. I couldn't turn my back on my friend. And I was like, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be fine, and it's fine. I got this. And he's like, okay, but don't tell you I told you so. And I'll just wrap that long story short. I should have listened to him. My producing partner totally just dropped the ball, and it never happened. And so, yeah. But I did make the prequel. I wrote the novel in that time because there was going to be a novel, a graphic novel. So one of the episodes of the graphic novel came out. The book's out. It's being rewritten, actually. There's still some typos in it because I cannot. Fun fact about me. I am terrible at grammar, and I can't spell to save my life half the time.
So you're like me, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Somebody has to edit or at least look over my shit because there will always be a typo. Guaranteed. If there's not a typo in it, I didn't write that.
That's what I always tell my wife too. Yeah, my wife helps. I'll edit stuff, and then my wife will give it a once over and unfortunately usually find a bunch of stuff I missed. But
yeah, you just can't see it after a while. It's just not there. I mean, it's there, but like you can't see it.
Thank God for editing software and stuff, though. I want at some point then to have editing software that does do it all for me, and then I can.
All right.
Now tell us about. Go ahead.
That one new one's really cool. The one that's just on your browser in Chrome, with the little green one. I forget what it's called. It just pops up and fixes everything while you're online. God, I love that guy.
I love that too. I use it. I use several editing things. I'm really addicted to them. Tell us about Independent Lasagna.
Okay. So this is post noir. So noir's falling apart. I don't know what to do. So I decide to make this guide on how to make a feature film for like no money. And I'm basically just going to compile all these links across the internet, videos and articles and stuff, into like a digital guide of like a step-by-step process of how to make a movie with like links. So like I don't have to write a whole book and tell you how to do it. I'm just providing you with basically like a bone structure of information to like click on to go learn a little bit of information that like how to write a screenplay. Here's a whole bunch of, a little overview of how to write a screenplay, but also here's a link to character development. Here's the link to story structure. Here's the link to how to, and so whatever. And so I did that for every part of it, pre-production, from writing, pre-production, production. And I think I might have even done I think there's a distribution chapter in there. And then I went and filmed this all, and my buddy was working at Bluffton College, and he had a green screen studio. So then I went and made a whole video series that was basically that book. Yeah, that you could watch, and then add links, in the description. So if you watch the video, you can just go down and click on the links in the description on YouTube. And so it basically works the same way.
That sounds brilliant. I love that.
And at the same time, I wanted to make this YouTube thing called Fuck You, I'm Drunk, where I just got drunk and made phone calls with my friends and people. I never published any of that. So I wanted to, how it actually happened was I wanted to do this Fuck You, I'm Drunk thing. But I was like, that's just, I don't want my personal, professional to be that. So if I'm going to do that, I have to balance it with something professional, right? So I was like, what can I do? So I was like, oh, make a guide on how to make a feature film. That'll balance it out. I look professional, but also I get drunk on Wednesdays and like call people and prank stuff things. I don't know.
I love that.
Anyway, none of Fuck You, I'm Drunk ever aired on anything ever.
I could see that doing well on Comedy Central. That would be.
In retrospect, I wish I had done it because like I probably would have 1 million+ followers at this point, just from doing that. And that's
or you could even do like
but I wanted to look like a professional.
You could do a celebrity Fuck You, I'm Drunk, and have different celebrities come on.
Yeah, man, it could have been. Yeah, I could be doing that. Anyway, drop the ball on that.
You can still do it.
Still can. Yeah. Starting from scratch though. I'll tell you a fun episode though that I actually might put up someday. But me and my buddy Michael called. He wanted to go to space, and this is like 2000, maybe 12 or 13, right? And like Virgin Galactic had kind of like recently announced what it was and what it was doing.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, so we're drinking, we're doing this little podcast. We're like, all right, so let's call Virgin and see if I can get to space. I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. So you can't call Virgin Galactic; they don't have a phone number. So we called Virgin America because that's the closest thing we could find to call. And a guy named Michael answers the phone, and he's like, "Oh, this is Michael." And Michael's like, "Well, this is Michael." And he's like, and funny story, Michael's in Dallas, and Michael's from Dallas, so they hit it off right away. And he's like, "Dude, I want to go to space, man. How do I get to space?" And he's just like, the guy's cracking up. He's like, "Well, I mean, first of all, they're not flying yet, so but you can get a reserve a ticket." And he's like, "Awesome. How much is the ticket?" He's like, "Well, it's about $500,000. He's like, "Oh man, is there a Groupon for that?" Groupon was big at the time. It's like, no, man. So it was about 15-minute, just hilarious conversation of him just bothering this poor Michael in Dallas and how he could possibly find a way to get on Virgin Galactic flight.
I love that. And that sounds like I really like that a lot. I'm interested in Odie. I've always been, a big fan of Homer and the Odyssey. So tell me a little bit about Odie.
Odie. So okay, this all actually plays in the timeline. So after I wrote the Independent Lasagna's Guide to the Feature Film, I still hadn't actually made a feature film. So I just wrote this guide on how to do it. So now I'm basically going to follow my own guide. And I did. And so me and my wife moved into this apartment complex where a bunch of students also lived. And we just moved in there with our buddy. The guy's a little crazy, but anyway, he can write books, but he'd never written a screenplay before. But so we're hanging out in this apartment building, and we're just like, I'm like, we gotta film a movie here. We moved here because we're gonna figure out how to make a movie in this apartment building somehow. And what are we gonna write? And so it took us several weeks, I think, to finally figure out what to do in the building. And we finally settled on, well, we could do the Odyssey because you have all the different apartments, right? So they could just be the different stories of the Odyssey. So Odie, we call him Odie, and he's what is his anniversary, and he went to go get some drugs, and now he's got to just work his way back to his apartment, right?
I love this.
And he just gets pulled into all the stories of the Odyssey on the way, just trying to get back home. And somehow we ended up with a rap battle at the end. I don't know how.
That sounds wonderful.
The guy who
fun.
played Odie always wanted to be a rapper, so we're like, fuck it, let's do a rap battle at the end. I don't know, but it's a fun movie. Making the movie was probably the best part of the movie because it's not too long after graduation, maybe two years after grad school, and so I decided that I would pay to make this movie. So I get the guy to write the script, and then we have to rewrite the whole thing. So he's written books, but he's never written a screenplay. So the entire thing has descriptions and like emotion and all kinds of stuff that just don't belong in screenplay. So we chop the hell out of it and rewrite it a little bit, but mostly we just took out all the stuff that didn't need to be there. And I start showing it to people, and they're like, "All right, that's cool. All right, that's funny. All right, okay, yeah, I'll help you make this." And so I get a bunch of my old grad school friends to come, and I'll put them up and I feed them for a week, and we're all just gonna make this movie together. Like, oh, it's a moviecation, it's a filmcation. And for 7 days, we made this movie, and we actually were supposed to shoot for 6, and I think we wrapped in 5. We were supposed to shoot for 7. We shot for 6 days and wrap the whole thing out. 6 days, whole feature film, 6 days shot. Boom. Because I figured out if you have a gimbal, and you can have your actors rehearse their entire scenes, and if you can light an almost 360, then you can literally spin like a whirling dervish with a gimbal, have your actors say their line in a close-up, have them say the line in medium, move, get the other lines, or do the whole thing, just like fly through it, right? And do it again, do it again, do it again, have them hold, say a line this way, you want a shot this way, say hold, say it this way. And, so you can just rip through entire scenes if you rehearse them like a play, and then just take your time railing through the whole scene in order, getting all the shots that you need. Instead of having setups to shoot over here and reset up to shoot over there, you just shoot the whole damn thing, man. So we crushed that thing, and I spent the next couple months not sleeping and editing until it was done. And it's she's in the world.
Has anybody thought about using it in a high school class or a college class to teach the Odyssey at all, maybe?
Have you watched it?
Not yet. I want to, though. I do want to watch all this.
Go watch Odie first, and then come back and ask me that question. Okay. That would be hilarious, though. Like, a really cool teacher would do that.
I think that'd be kind of fun. Good way to, and then like have them do like a counterpoint with the text.
College, you could show it in college.
I would do that as a college teacher. I would do that. I think it'd be a good way to get them to kind of cement it in their minds and be able to use it with the text. That would be kind of fun. Now, tell me about Media Matters Small Business Challenge.
Oh, so I decided I wanted to give back to the community. And how was I going to do that? And because I wanted to, because I still am trying to make something to be able to like make a living making things. But I wanted to do something positive. I didn't want to make a silly stoner comedy movie. I didn't want to I wasn't going to try to like make noir or anything so intensive and costly. And I'm like, well, how can I? So I wanted to like make small business commercials, right? That's how it started. And so I would find like a positive small business. So the idea was like find really good small businesses that were doing positive things. So I found like a vegan restaurant and like shot a little pilot. I was like, vegan, you're doing good for the community. Let's save the animals. And also she made really good vegan food. So I was like, yeah, all right, great. So we're going to make you a free commercial, and we're going to like do this little interview thing. We're going to do this little expose on you. And I'll even have like this web guy come and look at your stuff and give you some tips. And so we did that. And we realized that like the web guy was like, some of them needed an entire rebranding online. And what they really needed was that like, because web design is not necessarily what a vegan chef knows how to do.
Right. Right. No, it's the problem with a lot of business owners. They need that component, but it's not their wheelhouse.
Right. So I decided that, so Nick said he would give a certain amount of hours to like donate to redoing a positive small businesses online presence. And so I give my time to make this show about them, which also benefits me, but also benefits them, because I'm going to make them little commercials that they can just have too on top of that. And they're going to get the brand new website. And, this is all good all around. And it was, we did the first one, which was Beat Tan. This girl who made organic spray tan, right? Like totally organic, no chemicals, because her sister had skin cancer issues. And so she couldn't put the chemicals on it. So she figured out how to make her own formula Beat Tan spray, right? And she's doing fantastic now. But we went in and we redid her whole website and like her social media and fixed all the stuff and made a little commercials and stuff. But the jewel was really like Nick redoing his websites, because he's like a webmaster extraordinaire, right? And so gorgeous, and she's franchising. So I'll link to be able to franchise and make other websites out of it, all the crazy internet stuff that like I don't even know, like what. Like I can build a website and I can I can WordPress it, but like I can't, whatever Nick does I can't do. Yeah. And so all went really well, but that took months for him to like redo all that and whatever. So we finished that one, and it's good. Go watch it. We just started shooting the second one, which was on a reclaimed wood company, and I don't know, Nick was burnt out from work, and like we got like halfway through it, and then they never got back to me with like their samples to the thing. They wanted to sell all the extra little wood products that they had laying around, like little scrap pieces, and what could they do with all the scraps from the reclaim that they really couldn't figure out what to do with. So the idea was to like build them a website to be able to, you know, turn that stuff into stuff. So like make cutting boards out of like long strips, or make cute little like, I don't know, figurines or something, or Christmas ornaments that you could reclaim, you know, sell out, send out and ship and all that. And it just never got done.
This sounds like something that'd be really great for HDTV.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's, and so I'm making this, and at the same time, the another show comes out, the Robert Herjavec Small Business Challenge, or something almost the exact same thing that I'm making. Right, and they were redoing whole towns though, right? Like they would go do like, right. They went to like the small town and did a whole bunch of businesses in the small town, and I was just doing one positive business at a time. But I was like, holy crap, they either stole my idea or
probably
just good ideas just all happen at the same time. But anyway, it was just too much work, so we hung it up, and I decided to go make Beyond the Check.
Now tell us about Beyond the Check, because you have both a TV show and a podcast. Tell us about the TV show.
You want the whole story?
Yes.
Okay. So the whole story of Beyond the Check is that I was originally taking servers out to do a fun thing for like a YouTube show. Like I'd take them, we'll go to the beach and we'll talk about work, because servers like to talk about work. Or we'll go to, what else did I do? We went to the beach. I did some things. But we decided that I wanted to do something more, like I needed to go to restaurants, and then like, this is fun, but like servers are fun, this is fun, like, but it needs to be, it's not really giving back. Like, I don't know. It wasn't enough. Not that hanging out with servers wasn't enough, but it's a better podcast.
Yeah.
Right. So my father had passed away, and my sister and her husband own a restaurant in Athens, Ohio called Purple Chopsticks. And we were up there for my dad's celebration of life party. And I had my one sister, who's always very helpful. I was like, will you help me shoot this thing at Asia's? We're gonna, I'm gonna do this little expose on chopsticks. And it was like, yeah, okay, well, sure, whatever. Oh, yeah. And I asked them, like, hey, can I shoot, you want to do a little expose in your restaurant? You know, make you little ads and stuff out of it. And, you know, it'll be fun. It's like, so they agreed to it. And so with a couple iPhones and a couple crappy little microphones and my drone, because I just bought a drone, we shot the pilot episode of Beyond the Check, where Jordan was very helpful. She loved every second of it. If you watch episode 1, you see her face, you just see how excited she is to be there. Very happy girl. And so shot it and came home and edited it, and I showed it to some people, and they're like, well, this might be the best thing you've ever made. And I'm like, well, thank you, I think.
You're like, wait, what?
And so I called my buddy who he used to go to this restaurant called Noble Fare, and he knows the chef there. And I showed the show to him, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll help you make this. We'll do that. And so we called him, and he agreed to do it. So thanks, Pat, for being episode 2 at Noble Fare in Savannah, Georgia. And so from there, one of the servers was like, oh man, you have you ever been out to Poor Richards out in Bluffton? You guys used to work there. They're fantastic. They're amazing. They menu changes every day. Go over there. So I called Poor Richards, and they were like, oh hell yeah, come on. So we went and shot Poor Richards. And at Poor Richards, they were like, well, have you ever been over to Mears over in Wilmington Island? I'm like, no, I haven't. They're like, well, you gotta go see Mears. So I called Mir. I was like, hey, Mir, you want to be on my show? And he's like, okay, I'll be on your show. So
I like that.
shot that. And then while I'm at Mir's, he's like, I was on the Food Network's Bite Club. And I was actually one of the judges. And the winner actually has a restaurant over in Hilton Head called Pomodori. You should go see Amanda. And so she actually won Bite Club on Food Network. And I went and saw Amanda. And I needed one more episode. And so there's this awesome little burger joint where the guy just makes the burgers all day, every day. That's his thing. And so we shot the Corner Grill on Whitmarsh Island on March 7th of 2020. And then 10 days later, the country shut down. So I spent the lockdown editing season 1 and got it. I wish I'd got it out earlier, because man, if I could have got it out while everyone was just bored watching everything, man, that would have been great. But
we're still there.
Yeah, but people got burnt out on TV for a little while. Like, so everyone was you just binged everything you possibly could, and then you're like, I need to go outside. So yeah, and then so from that point, we went and shot season 2 in South Carolina and Georgia again, because it's still COVID, so we couldn't go far and had to go to places where they actually had stuff open. So we did that, and that was season 2 is great. Like, yeah.
Are you doing season 3 now?
We leave, I don't know when this is airing, but we leave Saturday for Texas for season 3.
What part of Texas is it? You said you're going to Dallas?
We're going to Austin area, Dallas area, and Bryan, Texas.
Be some nice food there. A lot of good food there.
Doing 2 barbecue places, because you have to do barbecue in Texas, but but the rest of it's pretty much all farm to table. Got a great little noodle place and an Ethiopian restaurant.
Nice. Yeah, I think there's a lot more diversity in Texas than people think. I think that they usually think, that they have this idea, but there's a huge Asian community there. There's a lot of diversity in the different cities. So quite a bit of food there. It's all over the map.
Yeah, it's my first time in Texas too, like actually spending time in Texas. So
yeah, I have a lot of people there. So I've spent a lot of my life. I lived there for a couple of years, almost ended up staying there, but ended up going back to California. Now you have a podcast as well, Beyond the Check. So you want to talk about that? You've had some great guests on, and I know that you're very lucky to have had the Dean Jones guy on there. He was a pretty good guest.
There was this guy. It was my favorite guest of all his. What was his name? It started with a D. I think it was Dean. I think it was Dean. That was that. Yeah, librarian foodie. Something to that effect. But yeah, he was a great guy. Great guy, that Dean Jones, I believe was his last name.
Yeah, but you've had some great guests on. I mean, I look at some of the people you've had on there, like Lynn Bowman, and the Amanda G that you mentioned that was on your TV show as well. You've had some great people on there. I think it's been very successful. You've had a lot of people, a lot of positive feedback on this.
I coming out all the way through December, and then 2022. It's gonna be 2022. Oh, I'm driving a Tesla to Texas. Did I tell you that?
No, that's kind of crazy.
I'm gonna blog that whole trip. We're driving the low range, 1,133 miles from here to Austin. It's gonna take 22 hours. Apparently on the dot. The car knows. But that should be fun. We'll see how that works out. Yeah.
Now, how do you have to map that as far as places you can recharge and stuff like that?
The car knows. The car, you tell the car where you want to go, and if it's going to be further than your charge can handle, it will find wherever you should stop and tell you have to stop here, or you will not go any further.
I did not know that. We see a lot of Teslas out here, but I drive a Honda, so I'd like to have Teslas, but that's not in our economy yet. We'll get there eventually.
It's actually cheaper than you'd think. Like, I wasn't even my idea. It was Jordan's idea. Because at the end of the day, I think it cost us $200 more than our Ford cost us.
Oh,
So like we had a 2019 Ford, and we paid, I think our payment was 450, and the Tesla is 6, and the insurance is like $50 more
that's
with the
not bad
Tesla.
though. That's pretty
So
good.
it literally only costs us like $200 more a month. And then you don't have to get gas ever. You don't have to change your oil ever. You don't
That would be
have to,
nice. I'd like that.
right? So all of those things. And so we just had so this cost us like $500 to have the charger put outside, right? So you run just like a 1450 regular dryer outlet, right?
Yeah, we have one in our garage. We don't use it because we don't have one, but yeah, I think they're building houses with it now.
Yeah, and then Tesla will try to trick you into thinking you need to buy this wall charger, but you don't. What they send you is the cable, right? You're like home charging cable, but they only send you the outlet for like your house, right? And
Right.
it's just an adapter. You pull it off, and you can order their other adapter, the 1450 adapter, that just goes right into your the plug that they came with the car, right?
Right.
And it's $35. It costs $35, not 500, 35. And you plug that in, plug it in, boom, you're good to go. You have as much charge as the wall charger or any other thing. So the wall charger is the FYI.
That sounds pretty cool. I'll talk to my wife about that. I kind of like this now.
But and so it's $100 to put your order in, and it's going to be 6 months, right? Till you get your damn car, at least. At least. Right. So
Yeah,
it's a real
I've heard
plan
about that
ahead.
too. Yeah.
It's a real plan ahead thing. So, and you don't even have to get it. You spend $100. You decide at the time you don't want it. You're out $100, right? That's it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you're in line, and when that car comes, you can have it.
Like that. Now, what's next for you?
Beyond the check, beyond the check, beyond the check, beyond the check, beyond the check. I'm getting hip surgery in January. So right when I get back from Texas, I got like 2 weeks before they cut me open again.
I've known a lot of people who've had hip surgery and they've always been so positive about what happened afterwards. So, I mean, I hope that it goes a speedy recovery for you.
Oh, I was amazed. Like, so I have the other one replaced. The first one, I had my left one replaced. So I'm having the right one replaced now. Because I have literally the worst arthritis that my surgeon has ever seen in a person my age.
No, I've heard that's more common now. Like I've heard a lot of people that happening to people where they're getting it younger.
Just hip dysplasia. So like your hip is more like this instead of like, round. It should be round, but instead it's oblong, and it just grinds your cartilage out over time. Right. So if you have kids, you should have them x-ray if they complain about their hips or aren't very flexible, can't sit Indian style, can't do things like that. It's probably because they're developing hip dysplasia.
I didn't know that. Huh.
And so you should have them to x-rayed, because you can go in and just shave the bone down and make it a ball, and you can have your original hip for the rest of your life and never get the arthritis because you fix the hip dysplasia early.
Oh, well, thank God for that. I mean, that's great.
You can. That didn't happen for me. Right.
Yeah.
But like, because my parents didn't know that. Like, my dad has terrible hips, but like, they never thought like, oh, I guess there's something you could do about that early on, right? Like, and it develops like in your teens usually.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, so until you said it, I never would have known.
Yeah,
I would have never known that.
I didn't know till it happened to me, and now I can tell people. Now you know. Now you know. If your kids can't flex his legs, sit Indian style, do weird, have pains in the middle of the night, like in their hips, that they're probably have the growing pain, right? Because it's a bone growing outward, so you will have growing pains in your hips that hurt, like weird. Yeah, man.
Do you ever think about going back and doing noir? Maybe try and.
One day.
Yeah.
One day. When I have $1 million. Well,
if you ever have a part for like a grumpy older guy, I could come in and play. I'll do it for free.
I got a Detective Spears who's going to be Burt Reynolds. You can have the role.
Oh, sure. Okay, I can do that. I mean, I'm no Burt Reynolds.
I mean, neither is he anymore.
Yeah. True.
Love you,
Are you
bro.
doing any cooking for the holidays?
I usually do. But okay, here's that. We're going to Jordan's parents' house for Thanksgiving. So they'll be doing the cooking, but it's the South. So they do potato salad
Mm-hmm.
instead of mashed potatoes with like their turkey and their stuffing. And then it's very confusing to me, and I don't like it. So I take my own mashed potatoes and some canned corn, because I need just canned corn, mashed potatoes, and some stovetop stuffing, because her grandma makes homemade like cornbread stuffing, and it's
Yeah.
okay, it's all right. I need some stovetop, okay.
People like their traditional things. Like my wife and her
Yeah.
kids, I make cranberry sauce every year, homemade, and they want the can. So I got to
Yeah,
buy the can too, and they
I
got to
know.
have that.
I need the can, not the chunky either. It's got to be just the jelly, just straight up. Yeah, and don't try to mash that shit up either. Like, just
No.
dump it out of the can, leave it in its form, give it the nice slice.
Yeah, no, I did that once. One year I mashed it up and my wife was outraged. She's like, I want to see those can marks on that.
How dare you ruin the beautiful mold, sir.
So no, I think people are very particular about what they have for Thanksgiving. People have their favorite. That's why I always ask people, like, what do you want? Like the kids. I'm like, what do you literally want? Like, I'll make it if you want it. Like, I'm not going to tell you what you should think. I want to make what you want. They're pretty good about most of it, but they have their few. Everybody's got a few couple things. Like the kids are all
Mhm.
mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yeah.
Gotta have that. I'm like,
How did
I
you
got it.
not have mashed potatoes and gravy on Thanksgiving? Blows my mind.
I always I make my own giblet gravy. I'm gonna debone a turkey and do like a rolled turkey with like some herbs and stuff in it.
Oh, that sounds fun. It's
Yeah,
different. We
you never
usually
done it
fry a
before?
turkey, but we just don't have time to. We usually do a Thanksgiving dinner like with friends after like her parents' house every year, and we fry up like 3 turkeys and like have a bunch of people over. But because we're leaving like the next 2 days later, we just decided not to
Yeah,
fry any turkeys this year.
yeah. That sounds like kind of a. I've never done it, but it sounds like it'd be like a lot to do. Like,
Oh, dude, have you ever eaten fried turkey?
no,
You can't go back, so don't.
I've heard that.
Yeah, yeah. Once you have fried turkey, there is no turkey that is good enough ever again.
I do want to try it. I always though, like I always say, to everybody, do you guys want to do just something different this year and do tacos? We'll just have tacos this year and guacamole and stuff. And they're like, no, we want the turkey with the gravy with the. I'm like, all
Yeah,
right, all right.
it's like one time of the year you actually eat it, you
Yeah.
know. My sister's father-in-law, the owner of Purple Chopsticks originally, he Ed Fisher, he would come to our Thanksgivings at my family's house a lot, and he always brought stuffed shells. And man, I fucking love stuffed shells. But it's like
Stuffed shells are one of my that's my kryptonite. If I'm
yeah.
dieting or anything and stuffed shells are on the table, I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah, and it's not something you think of as a Thanksgiving dish in any way, shape, or form, right? But he always made the stuffed shells on Thanksgiving, and so it became a staple. Now I'm like, oh man, my stuffed shells.
I like when people put things in like that and incorporate things into their families and like make it kind of their thing. I like that.
Now I want
That's kind
stuffed
of
shells.
cool.
I might make stuffed shells later.
You know,
Oh, I
we've been
don't have time
watching
to.
we've been watching a lot of home and garden TV lately and seeing a lot of attention on different shows that take place in the South. And Georgia has been featuring quite a bit. Um, I think there's been a lot of attention on Georgia in the media like that lately. Do you see that a lot yourself, or have people talked about it?
I think I missed the question. What? Talk about what?
Like Home and Garden TV has had a lot of TV shows on recently where they've taken place in the South, and they're doing like a lot of town revamps. So they're redoing towns and stuff.
I mean, we have a lot of revitalization going on. It slowed down for a while because of COVID, but they're redone like our whole Starland district, which apparently used to just be like this small square section of town past Forsyth Park, which now all the realtors are calling like everything within like a mile of this like original little like Starland district area, Starland district, to get people to move in to all the surrounding Starland district areas, which So yes.
So do you, I mean, my wife and I watch these shows and we're like, geez, we should maybe move back there. Like, because I think a lot of people are moving out of California, especially like the Bay Area where I live is so expensive. You don't even want to know what like gas and like rent is here. It's beyond what you could imagine. And
I got a buddy who just left. He's literally, or he's supposed to be leaving California any day now, because he's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I mean, he makes the same amount of money. He's a welder, and he gets paid the same in California as he gets paid in Georgia, and it's about half as expensive here than it is there. So he's done. He's on his way back across America now.
nobody can blame him. I mean, I like I love the Bay Area, but you know, where I was looking at getting a second job recently, and like, that's no fun for anybody to kind of have to contemplate that kind of thing. So it's like I think a lot of people just had it. They just can't. It's wearing them down.
Come on, buddy. We got bays.
Yeah.
I got Tybee like 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, do you get a lot of people? Is there you see a big influx of people moving to your area?
Oh, it was a war to buy a house. It's a war out there. If you find a house you like and you don't get it that day, you're not getting that house.
Yeah.
So if you want to move here,
Gotcha.
I recommend putting on your war attire and calling a realtor.
Well, it's good to know. No, I keep thinking about every once in a while. I look at jobs for librarians in that area or academic librarians, and I think, maybe I could do that. You know, maybe we could do it, make it happen.
And we got a lot of schools down here. Bluffton, even like Bluffton's beautiful, and the Bluffton College, small little cute little college. Cost of living, yeah, nothing compared to what you're paying now.
Yeah, like again, you don't want to know, but it's just so. I think even we live here don't believe it, and we live here.
Right? I mean, even our gas prices, I don't know what they are today because I haven't got gas in a while. And that was the other reason was like I knew gas prices were going up, so we just weighed all the pros and cons on the Tesla, right? I'm like the resale value versus the Ford later, all of it, right? And when it comes down to it, it was just it's just a better investment, right? Like,
Yeah.
If you're going to make a car payment, like say it's like owning a diamond. It's not like owning a diamond because you buy a diamond, you walk off, as soon as you leave, that thing is worth half as much as you just paid for it.
Yeah.
You will never get what you paid for it back ever.
Yeah.
Never, ever. Right.
Yeah.
So it is such a racket. But a Tesla, that car is going to be worth about the same that I paid for it in a year. It's going to, the trade versus the depreciation on a Ford. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's really where we're all heading anyway. I think we're all wanting electric cars. We're all going to go that way. It's inevitable, really, in many ways.
And I'm not paying $5 a gallon for gas. Okay.
That's what I'm paying. Yeah, it's not fun.
No.
Like get a little bit groceries this month.
Our electric bill hasn't really gone up either. Like you charge it at night, and so you're on the down periods. So.
Oh yeah, our electric because we're really hot where we're at, so our monthly electricity payments pretty high. Yeah, really high.
Get out of California.
Yeah,
man, come on, let's hang out.
No, I'm thinking about it. Generally, it's a scary move, but like
we'll make bread.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. I could be in your little films. I could be a detective or something.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be fun.
You gotta look.
I like wearing fedoras, so I'm already there.
Right? Check, sir.
Well, it's very good talking to you. Thank you for being on the show, and I've really been astounded about all the accomplishments you've had, and it's really been kind of fun talking to you about all this stuff.
Oh, thanks for having me. Yeah, you took me down memory lane.
I'm gonna go watch Odie now.
Do it, man.
I'm gonna
text me. Let me know what you think.
Okay, I will. That was my guest, Reyshan Parker. Really enjoyed getting a chance to talk to him. I hope we can have him back on the show multiple times. Now, on Monday, our next guest is going to be Julie Schler, who is the author of Orange Appeal, Savory and Sweet, and that'll be on Monday. Then we're going to have on next Friday, Mario Lopez Goyachea, author of Cuban Immigrant and Londoner. That's a new book that came out recently, a wonderful book. He's a great upcoming writer, and I think you'll really like hearing my conversation with him. So until then, I hope you guys have a great week. And also, Happy cooking.